Hello everyone, I hope you are doing fine. And in this video, we shall discuss about the calculation of the purchase consideration and the numerical aspect of purchase consideration. So name of the topic is calculation of purchase consideration. Let us just go with the sum number one, that is related to the cash and equity shares. So basically, a few details is given to us, that is as follows. Company X acquires company Y. Okay. Company Y has 20,000 equity shares which are outstanding. Face value per share of the company is rupees 10. Okay. Exchange ratio. Exchange ratio is basically that ratio in which the transferor company is exchanging the shares from the transferee company. That means one share of company X for every four shares of company Y. That means the ratio is of 1:4. Market value per share of company X is rupees 20. Okay, it is rupees 20. And the cash payment to the shareholders of company Y is rupees 1,50,000. Now, this is the entire situation. The entire situation is that company X has acquired the company Y. Company Y has 20,000 equity shares which are outstanding. The face value per share of the company Y is rupees 10. The exchange ratio is one share of the company X for every four share of the company Y. That means the ratio is of 1:4. Market value per share of the company X is rupees 20, and the cash payment which has been done to the shareholders of the company Y is rupees 1,50,000. Now let us just move towards the solution. First of all, we will issue the new shares. Issue of equity shares. We will first issue the new equity shares. How? This is as follows. Number of shares to be issued by company X is 20,000 divided by 4. Why? Because the ratio is of 1:4. So for every 4 share of Y, the company X will issue 1 share. So if the Y has 20,000 equity shares, so the company X is going to issue 20,000 divided by 4, that is the 5,000 shares. And what will be the market value of the shares issued by company X? That will be 5,000 multiplied by rupees 20. Why? Because the market value for the share of the company X is going to be rupees 20. So it will be 1 lakh. Okay. After that, when we are done with the issue of the equity shares, we will carry forward and talk about the cash payments. The cash payment is to be done for rupees 1,50,000. Now, after we have done the cash payment, the total purchase consideration is going to be equity shares plus cash. So we paid in cash rupees 1,50,000 and the remaining we paid in the form of the equity shares, that is rupees 1 lakh. Hence the total purchase consideration is rupees 2,50,000. That's it. So simple and so easy. This is our first problem that has been solved. Now moving ahead, the second problem states that is of cash and preference shares. Okay. Now here the details that is given to us is that company A acquires company B. Company B has 15,000 equity shares outstanding. Face value per share of company B is rupees 10. Cash payment to the shareholders of company B is rupees 1 lakh, and issue of preference shares is 1,000 shares for rupees 100 each. Here, let us just carry on to the solution. Basically, we have been given the same basics, that is the company A has acquired the company B. Company B has 15,000 equity shares outstanding. Face value per share is rupees 1 lakh, sorry, rupees 10. That makes it rupees 1,50,000. Cash payment has been done by rupees 1 lakh, and the remaining preference shares is of rupees 1,000 shares for rupees 100 each. So, moving ahead to the solution, we've been given cash payment. We have done the cash payment of rupees 1 lakh. How? Because it is given in the question. Second up, we have issued preference shares. How? Number of preference shares issued is 1,000. Then the face value of the preference shares is rupees 100 each. Then the value of shares issued is going to be 1000 shares multiplied by 100. That makes it rupees 1 lakh. Which makes the purchase consideration as cash plus preference shares. That is rupees 1 lakh of cash plus rupees 1 lakh of equity shares, making it rupees 2 lakhs. And that's it. Then let us move ahead with problem number 3. Problem number 3 states it is related to equity shares and other assets. Following details are given. That is, company C acquires company B. Okay. Company B has 30,000 equity shares outstanding. Then the face value per share of company D is rupees 10. Exchange ratio is given as 1 share for company C for every 3 shares of company D. That means the ratio comes out to be 1:3. Company C will issue 1 share for every 3 shares of company D. Market value per share of company C is rupees 25, and the other assets are transferred to the shareholders of the company D, that is rupees 75,000. Okay. Now let us just carry on with the solution. We have been given that the company C has acquired the company D. Company D has 30,000 equity shares outstanding. The face value per share of the company D is rupees 10. Exchange ratio is 1 share for company C for every 3 shares of company D. And the market value per share of company C is rupees 25. Also, the other assets are transferred to the shareholders of the company D, that is for rupees 75,000. Okay. Now, we need to find out the purchase consideration. So, the first step is to see if there is any cash payment. Is there any cash payment? The answer is no. We do not have any cash payment in here. Then next, we'll talk about issue of equity shares. For issue of the equity shares, the number of equity shares to be issued by company C will be equal to 30,000. Why? Because 30,000 are the shares that are outstanding of the company D. And since it is issuing one share for every three shares, then the ratio will be 30,000 by 3. That will be 10,000 shares. Okay. After that, the market value of the shares issued will be 10,000 multiplied by rupees 25. Why? Because it is given in the question. So INR rupees 2,50,000. This is the amount of the equity shares will be which we will be issuing, or which the company C will be issuing in order to take the purchase consideration. Next up, if there are any other assets which has been transferred, yes, the other assets has been transferred. What is the amount? The amount of the other assets which have been transferred is rupees 75,000. That is rupees 75,000. Okay. Then we'll calculate the total purchase consideration. Why? Because there is no other amount left. We issued the equity shares, we got it accounting to the exchange rate, and we also transferred the other assets. So no transactions are remaining. Now we'll calculate the total purchase consideration. That will be, in this case, there will be no cash, but issue of equity shares plus other assets which has been transferred. So issue of equity shares is rupees 2,50,000, and the other assets are 75,000, which makes it rupees 3,25,000. Okay, so this is it. See, most of the things will be given to you in the question itself only. Now, let us just discuss about the fourth problem, which is based on the cash equity and other assets. Now, what will be the scenario if the payment has been done from all these things? Here, let us just take the common scenario first, that what is given to us. So it is given that the company E acquires company F. Company F has 25,000 equity shares outstanding. Face value per share of the company is rupees 10. Exchange rate या फिर exchange ratio comes as one share of company E for every 5 shares of company F. That means the ratio here is of 1:5. Okay. Market value per share of company E is rupees 30. Cash payment to the shareholders of company F is rupees 2 lakhs. And other assets which has been transferred to the shareholders of company F is rupees 50,000. Now, let us just move towards the solution. Here, first things first, we will talk about if there is any cash payment. Can you see any cash payment in the question? Yes, we do have a cash payment of rupees 2 lakhs. Okay. Now, next up, we will see if there is any other assets transferred. Yes, we also have the other assets which has been transferred. And that is how much? 50,000. Next up, next up, we have issue of equity shares. Okay. So, number of the shares to be issued by the company E will be equal to 25,000 divided by 5, which is equal to 5,000. Why? Because the ratio of the at addition is 1:5. And what is the market value of shares which has been issued? Is 5,000 multiplied by INR 30, which will be equal to rupees 1,50,000. So, here let us just talk about the total purchase consideration. Why? Because all the other things have been clarified and there is no point left in the question which we have not covered. We have paid in the cash, we have also transferred the other assets, and we have also issued the equity shares and the market value of the equity shares as well. So we shall now calculate the total purchase consideration, which will be issue of equity shares plus cash plus assets transferred. The issue of equity shares is rupees 1,50,000 plus the cash which we have paid is rupees 2 lakhs. And the next step is what? The 50,000, that is the other assets transferred, making it rupees 4 lakhs. Okay. And this is how you will calculate the purchase information if the payment has been done through the cash, equity, and the other assets. Lastly, case number 5, that is for the equity shares and cash. So first of all, let us talk about what are the details which has been given to us. First thing is that the company G acquires company H. Company H has 40,000 equity shares which are outstanding. Face value per share of the company H is rupees 10. The exchange ratio comes out to be 1 share of company G for every 4 shares of company H. That means the ratio of accretion is 1:4. Market value per share of company G is rupees 40, and the cash payment to the shareholders of company H is rupees 3 lakhs. So we shall now go through the solution. First of all, if there is any cash payment, so do we have the cash payment? Yes, we do. We have the cash payment of rupees 3 lakhs. Now next up, do we have any other assets which has been transferred? No. Okay. Then what do we have? We have that the equity shares have been issued. That means it is the issue of the equity shares. Okay. Then it is like that. The number of the shares to be issued by company G is INR 40,000. Sorry, not INR. It is the number of shares. 40,000 divided by 4, that is equal to 10,000 shares. And the market value of the shares issued is 10,000 multiplied by rupees 40, that is equals to rupees 4 lakhs. Okay. But because the market value for the shares of company G is rupees 40, and since the shares have been issued in the proportion of 1:4, that means 1 share for every share, for every 4 share of company H, that means the company G will issue 10,000 equity shares. Then the purchase consideration is as follows. That will be the cash plus issue of equity shares. That is INR. How much cash we have paid? We have paid rupees 3 lakhs plus INR rupees 4 lakhs. That makes it equal to INR rupees 7 lakhs. So this will be the total purchase consideration. Now, these are the separate cases in which the purchase consideration will be calculated. First of all, if the purchase consideration is taken from the cash and the equity shares. Secondly, if it is taken from the cash and the preference shares. Thirdly, if it is has been taken from the equity shares and the other assets. Fourth, if it is taken from the cash, equity and the other assets. And lastly, if it is taken from the equity shares and cash. Okay, this is how it will be calculated. I hope you have understood the concept of the purchase consideration and how the problems related to the purchase consideration will follow. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.